Alright, it is time for another dungeon guide, and today we'll be tackling the Prophecy. This is the most aesthetically beautiful dungeon in the entire game in my opinion, so if you have not done it yet, hopefully this video will help you get your first clear. Prophecy is all about light and dark, geometry, and incredible skyboxes. This guide will show you the core mechanic, obviously, every encounter, secret chests, and all 12 urn collectibles found within the Prophecy. And just a quick FYI on those urn collectibles, unlike some other dungeons like Grasp of Avarice where collecting all of those audio logs will get you a cool Galahorn ornament, doing so in this dungeon will get you nothing but 25 triumph score. But I'm a completionist and I wanted to include it in this video. And also I was missing a few of the urns as well, so you'll see me collect some of them, but shoot others where they should be placed since I had already collected them. You can't collect these urns more than once, so I'm just gonna have to shoot where they will be. And if you don't care at all about the urns, just skip past those chapters in the video. Everything will be nice and organized for you to easily skip around. This dungeon, just like every other dungeon in Destiny, can certainly be completed solo, but I would not recommend this at all if this is your first time ever running it. It's much easier and more fun to do with a group than it is solo on your first clear. And if you don't have people to run it with, try joining my Discord, link in the description, where you can find people to run it with. So intro out of the way, let's get to the main mechanic that we'll be using for the whole dungeon, which is cleansing the light and dark platforms. You'll see these golden platforms with light and dark energy kind of glowing on top of them throughout this whole dungeon. The goal is to cleanse them to help progress the encounters. So how do we do that? Well, special taken knights will appear throughout every encounter, and they'll drop 3 light or 3 dark motes when killed. They look just like the motes we collect in Gambit, really easy to see. You'll need to collect 5 motes of the same type to convert it into this carryable orb, and once you do that, you can take that orb to the correct platform and cleanse it. So if you've got a light orb created from 5 light motes, you cleanse the light platform. Dark orb, you cleanse the dark platform. Pretty easy. So kind of part 2 of this is how do you guarantee light or dark motes when you kill those taken knights? Again, pretty easy. You'll notice the edges of your screen will kind of have this light or dark haze. I'll kind of demonstrate it here so you can see what I'm talking about. The light haze appears anytime you're standing in the light, and the dark haze appears anytime you're standing in the shadows. So if you're looking for light motes, you'll want to stand in the light while delivering that final killing blow to the knight you're trying to kill. And the same goes for dark, obviously. This kind of forces you to occasionally stand in awkward places to get those knight kills, but it does make it fun. It kind of changes it up a little bit. Just get in the habit of double checking the edges of your screen to make sure you're actually standing in the light or in the shadows. It can be very confusing. A lot of times you think you're in the shadows, but you're actually in the light. Only other thing I'd say here is that the motes do expire after 30 seconds if you don't collect another mote, so you can't just wait around forever. But picking up a single mote will instantly refresh that timer back up to 30 seconds, so it makes it really easy to get all 5. So now with the main mechanic out of the way, let's get this dungeon started. First thing you'll want to do if you're going for all the urns, just follow this path up. It's very dark, but go ahead and pick up your first urn up here. Next, head through the portal and immediately turn around and run behind this rock to pick up the second urn. After that, we can head to the first encounter. Just start heading down that hallway where you're supposed to go, and then you'll notice this golden door at the end. And right by that door, you'll see 2 platforms, 1 light, 1 dark. You already know what to do here. Get the 5 light and dark motes and cleanse both platforms from killing those knights. To speed things up, you can divvy up your team to have 1 person get all the light motes, 1 person get all the dark motes, and another player just to kind of help clear the ads and help kill knights for whatever knight type is needed. This shouldn't take you more than 30 to 60 seconds once you get the hang of it. It's very straightforward. And once you have cleansed both platforms, that golden door will open, revealing a slightly different layout room where you'll essentially be doing the exact same thing as a previous room. There are more enemies in this area though. It's a little bit more dangerous, so if you want to have 1 person on motes, 1 on ad clear, and another one to help clear the knights, do that if you're having trouble staying alive. Otherwise, just keep the same strategy in this first room to help things move quickly. Same thing here, once you cleanse both platforms, that golden door will open. If you move ahead a little bit, you'll see this rock pathway with the Kell Echo main boss kind of waiting for you up the left, but we're going to skip that really quickly, move ahead straight in the pathway to pick up urn number 3 all the way back here. And I believe I already had this one, so I am shooting it as you can see. Alright, so now you can turn around, head back up the path where you're supposed to go, up that rock kind of climbing area. Once you climb to the top, make sure to head to this area to the right to pick up your 4th urn before starting the encounter. You can do this after the encounter if you want. I would just recommend doing it before so you don't forget about it. So this boss fight. Boss does not have a lot of health, so it can easily be 1-phased as long as you all come prepared for it slightly. If you need a 2-phase, 3-phase, 7-phase, it's no big deal. You can take as much time as you need, but you can get the 1-phase. I believe in you. It's easy. You can get away with using many different weapon combinations here. Don't feel like you have to have one specific thing to do it, but what always suits me best is a shotgun or fusion rifle for the Taken Knights and an SMG for the minor enemies. And what I like to use is the Lament exotic sword for damaging the boss. If you don't have the Lament though, again, it's all good. Like I said, you can use almost anything here. You can have one player run Galahorn if you want, with the other 2 running legendary rockets. You can run Parasite, Grand Overture, Legend of Acrius, Starfire Protocol, Fusion Grenade spam. Just pick anything you want that's remotely high damage and you're gonna be fine, I promise. The main thing though is getting you a weapon loadout that can keep you alive, since gathering motes with a million infinitely spawning enemies is tougher than damaging the boss, believe it or not. Okay, so now that we're set up for the encounter, let's go over how it actually works. The last encounter was kind of this mini tutorial for this boss fight. Only difference now is that there are 2 light and 2 dark platforms instead of 1 each, and obviously the fact that there's a boss. The layout of this area will occasionally change as you cleanse the platforms, which is actually really cool. This means that the light areas and the shadow areas will actually change as the geometry of the arena changes, so you'll need to adjust your positioning to ensure you're getting the light and dark motes that you need. Again, just watch the edges of your screen to make sure you're in the right zone, light or dark. As mentioned, enemies in this fight can actually be a little bit overwhelming, so keep your SMGs ready to just mow through all those minor enemies, and stick to the edges behind the pillars if you feel like you're about to die. It's a lot safer back there. Of course, the Taken Knight Fire Blast can also do quite a bit of damage as well, but the big annoyance here is most certainly the boss continuously trying to blast you off the arena. This is another reason why I actually like bringing the Lament, or really any sword here, since you can instantly reverse your momentum back toward the arena if he does try to knock you off. Obviously, the Lament does a lot of damage to the boss as well. So once you're able to cleanse all 4 platforms, the 2 light, 2 dark, you'll initiate the damage phase. Just start unloading everything you've got on the boss. You'll have a big damage window around 30 seconds to do damage, so it's pretty easy to get the 1-phase as mentioned. If you're using the Lament, just make sure you don't hack away at his shield on accident, since that's immune. You're not going to do any damage. Try to get behind him if possible. This whole damage phase is pretty straightforward, aside from the Taken Goblins that will try to shield the boss. If this does happen, immediately seek out that goblin, kill it to remove that immunity shield, and then proceed to obliterate the boss. If you don't get the 1-phase, just rinse and repeat the same steps for as many damage phases as you need, and you'll get your first boss clear of the Prophecy Dungeon. If you don't get the 1-phase, just rinse and repeat the same steps for as many damage phases as you need. Again, dungeons do not have any sort of enrage mechanic. So once you're done with this boss, you can take that pink platform down to the desert area, which is a really cool location in Destiny. It's just so desolate and eerie, it kind of feels like you shouldn't be there. I don't know, but I really like it. So once you get down to this area, summon your Sparrow and immediately head right, following this path to urn number 5 behind this pillar. Again, I'm kind of shooting at it because I already have this one. So for this area, you'll be roaming the desert and looking for a set of 3 Taken Blights. The area is not that big at all, so it's not going to be that hard to find, but keep in mind this whole area is a darkness zone, so if you all die, you have to start all the way at the beginning of the desert, which you don't want to happen. Stay away from the giant invisible minotaurs guarding the center area if you can. They tend to do a lot of damage and ruin your Sparrow. But once you find the first set of 3 Blights, you'll obviously have to take them down, destroy them. I'd recommend taking out the Hobgoblin Snipers if you can though, since they tend to be insanely aggressive and have really good lines of sight on you since they're perched up really high. I usually like to throw on a scout rifle for this encounter to help take them out. Once you clear out all 3 Blights in that area, you'll have to look for Toland, which is the floating white orb. Toland will kind of hang in the center of that area you just cleared out, and once you approach him, he'll really quickly move in the direction that you need to move toward the next area with 3 Blights, so he's trying to show you where you have to go. If you miss it, maybe you accidentally trigger Toland, it happens all the time, no worries, you'll just have to patrol the desert and look for the next set of 3 Blights. You'll have to do this 3 times, so once you've cleared all 3 sets of Blights, make sure to drop by this hidden area to get your first secret chest. Since this is a wide open area, it's kind of hard to say and show exactly where this is, but what you want to do is look for a yellow patch of sand on the ground by using this giant cube and floating red orb as landmarks to help position you, help you find that location. Once you find that yellow sand, you know you're there. Really well hidden chest here, just drop in this little cubby hole and get your chest. Okay, so now we can head to that giant cube area for the second encounter. There are 2 cubes in this area, we'll be using both of them, but the one that has that narrow doorway, Toland should be hanging outside of it. That's the one that we have to go to for the next encounter. But before heading inside that cube, head to the left, pick up urn number 6, I believe it's 3 pillars off to the left, right behind here. Once you have that urn, you can now head through that center doorway. You'll be taken to the Hexahedron encounter. Before starting the encounter though, don't go to the middle yet. You can platform just a bit to collect urn number 7. Okay, Hexahedron. Same mechanics that we've been doing the whole time, except this time you'll have to cleanse a specific platform instead of cleansing all of them, but we'll get to that in just 1 second. This is another encounter where you don't need any particular weapons, but a scout rifle goes a long way in taking out those hobgoblin snipers that can be very annoying if not dealt with quickly. My preferred loadout here kind of changes, but it's usually like a scout rifle or an SMG or Wither Horde and any sword to just quickly kill those knights. But again, nothing particular, you don't have to have a specific loadout. So obviously, standing in the light or shadows is still a mechanic here, which can be kind of challenging when killing a knight. So the goal with this fight is to cleanse 6 platforms correctly, or each wall of the cube. Hexahedron, or the name of this encounter, actually means a solid figure with 6 planes, which means that a cube is actually a hexahedron. The more you know, right? Pretty interesting. Okay, so getting into it, have one player be the designated mote collector. The other 2 can help with knights, snipers, other enemies. There's kind of a lot in here. What you'll want to do first though is look at the sides of the wall to try to spot Toland's white orb. Toland's basically trying to show you, hey, here is the correct platform to deposit on. So whatever wall he's on, you're going to look down, check if it's light or dark, and then that way you know, hey, I've got to deposit on this platform. So you'll see me multiple times, I'll kind of look up, check for where Toland is at, and then look down and deposit right on that plate. So whichever one it is, light or dark, start grabbing motes for it by killing the knights while standing in the matching affinity, light or shadow. Same thing that we've been doing the whole time. Once you've cleansed the correct plate in that room, everyone can head to the middle and kind of float up to the middle cube, and it's going to rotate and put you on a different side of that cube. Once you get to the new floor, same thing, just try to find Toland on the wall, kill the knights for the matching motes, and cleanse that correct platform. You've got to do this 6 times, 1 for each side. And if you ever mess up your motes, or maybe the motes fall off or they expire, whatever happens, don't worry. Killing those snipers will actually spawn in more knights for you, and you can do it endlessly, so it's impossible to get stuck here in this encounter. Once you've cleansed all 6 sides, you'll be brought to a new floor with a few Taken Centurion mini-bosses. These guys are total pushovers, so don't freak out at all. You've got a few other enemies to deal with here, but it's really not difficult at all. Use your supers, do whatever you've got to do to take them out easily. Once you nuke all 3 of these Centurions, you've beaten the Hexahedron encounter, and you get another reward chest. But before leaving this room though, you'll actually exit through that pink little narrow hallway. Make sure to follow this route. It's a lot of platforming, but you'll grab urn number 8. If you don't care about it, of course you can skip it. This one is kind of far out of the way. Just take as much time as you need to get it. It requires a slight amount of precision as you'll need to jump and collect it mid-air. I'm trying to shoot where it would appear, so hopefully you can grab it. Okay, so now it's time to head back to the desert where you'll actually be greeted by the final boss, Kell Echo. But it's not time to fight him quite yet. What he'll do is kind of retreat back as you follow him. He's going to lead you to where you have to go, to that second giant cube. Walk in, prepare your sparrows. We're about to enter the most majestic place in Destiny history. Once you're done kind of marveling at just the awesomeness that you're seeing, head to the right instead of the left where the game wants you to go. You can actually grab urn number 9 by heading to this platform. So now you can start heading down what we call Rainbow Road. My only complaint with this area is that it has a 45-second respawn timer, so try your best not to die, since if you all die, you've got to start over from the beginning. Take the turn slowly, hop off your sparrow when you need to if you need to scout the road ahead, or recover from a whiffed sparrow jump, which happens all the time. There's actually multiple paths that you can take down, but if you ever feel like you're at a dead end, just backtrack a little bit and try a new route. You want to make sure that you stop about halfway down to pick up urn number 10. I believe you always have to go this way, so I don't think you can miss it. Once you enter that pyramid area, just take the stairs to the right, jump out the window to this platform to grab urn number 10. You can also grab secret chest 2 about 70% down. It's a little further ahead, and it's another very well hidden chest. Just stop at this pyramid, clear the enemies if you need to, follow the path here to get this next secret chest. And once you've got it, you can head down the path. There's nothing left for us to do here. Go all the way down until you reach the end. And once you're here, you'll be launched up to this area with a big group of enemies. They're easy though, no worries. What you'll want to do is hug the wall to your right, and you'll see a small path with urn number 11 kind of hanging out right here. Then just keep following the path, take in all the colors. It's really beautiful in here until you reach the boss room. So once you're here, you're at the end, final boss time, but before starting, you can pick up urn number 12, the final one, by platforming the wall just a little bit. Not too difficult to get this one, just takes a few jumps. And now you're done with all the prophecy urns. Congrats, you just got 25 triumph score. So for this fight, I like taking in Wither Horde for some good damage over time. You don't need it, but I like to use it. I'll use an SMG for ad clear and a linear fusion rifle for our main boss damage. Rockets can work here. You'll just need to make sure that you time it correctly because the boss will teleport, and it's really easy to miss a lot of rockets. If you've got the bait and switch, 4th time's the charm cataclysmic, perfect. If not, it's no worries. This can be one-phased, but it will be tougher than one-phasing the first boss. So if you don't one-phase it, don't get discouraged. There is a little bit of a learning curve to this fight. Okay, so what do we do here? Well, you'll notice we've got this kind of triangular format to the room, with 3 platforms that are either light or dark. You guessed it, we'll be killing knights to do the same thing that we've been doing the whole time. If your team feels pretty good about the dungeon so far, feel free to take 1 platform for each person to make sure that this goes by very quickly. But if you're struggling with the area, you can have 2 players clear ads, since there are quite a bit of them, and have 1 player pick up the moats. Just do whatever works best for your team. There's no time limit here in this room or this whole encounter. But the enemies will continuously spawn in, so don't try to clear out all the enemies before progressing. That's not going to help you at all. So once you cleanse a platform here, a taken ogre will spawn in right in that corner that you deposited in. Easy way to kill him is shoot 1 Wither Horde, toss in just about any grenade, and whittle him down with an SMG. He dies in like 2 seconds. If you don't deal with these ogres, they're going to kind of push you around and bully you around the room, so it's best to take them out as quickly as you can. To make it to the boss damage phase, you'll have to clear all 3 corners, which once you get the hang of it can be done in about 60 seconds. Once you do this, the middle area will glow pink and all 3 of you can hop on it and go to the boss arena. I'll be honest, this will likely be frustrating for your first couple attempts, but you've got this, just keep trying. So let's go over how the boss Kell Echo works. Long story short, you don't want to have too much distance between you and Kell Echo, as you'll start building up dark entropy stacks. If you reach dark entropy times 10, you die instantly. You also want to make sure that you're not too close to Kell Echo, as he'll constantly be launching teleporting projectiles your way. If you get hit by this projectile, it will send you back quite a ways, so it will be a guaranteed few stacks of dark entropy if he does get you. So Kell Echo's movements are pretty straightforward, thankfully. He'll usually stand in one area for 7 to 10 seconds, then retreat back a little bit. You'll constantly have to be on the chase here, and you also have to somewhat prioritize the enemies that will constantly be trying to kill you too. It's totally fine if you have to clear out a few enemies first before focusing on the boss. Again, just make sure you're not too far away from him. Just try to learn the flow of when he launches those projectiles, learn how to evade them by just keeping the right amount of distance away so you can jump away in time. I don't claim to be a DPS king or anything, but my preferred method here is to Wither Horde for some solid damage over time, then swap to my linear fusion for some heavier DPS, and throw grenades as needed. Of course, supers are welcome here, just make sure you're not doing any roaming supers while standing right next to him, otherwise it's an instant teleport back. As long as you're all able to not get teleported too many times and get some decent damage, this should be enough for a 1-phase, but if you don't 1-phase, it's no worries, this is not easy. You'll just have to take that teleporter at the end of that boss arena back to the main room, which if you didn't notice, is actually a pyramid with each side being its own floor. It's actually really trippy if you look up. Just rinse and repeat the same steps as before, do as many damage phases as you need. There is no enrage mechanic, again, in dungeons. Once you've taken out Kell Echo, you have cleared the prophecy dungeon, nice work. You'll get teleported one more time to the final infinity pool area, which is, gosh, just another really cool area here, with a giant emissary head of the 9 that will just be waiting for you there. Make sure to grab that chest at the end to get a unique piece of Moonfang armor. This is the Dido Foundry set. Each set actually has its own Foundry armor set if you didn't notice yet. Well, I don't want to keep you here any longer. I hope you all were able to get a clear, and if you were, please leave me a comment letting me know. And of course, if you have feedback for me, go ahead and leave that too. I'm all for it. But alright everyone, I will see you all in the Discord or in the next video.